we're doing a late January Jeep news. We're going to talk about obviously Jeep, Stellantis, some stuff with Ram, some stuff with Dodge. We've got a lot to unpack. Chicago Auto Show. This is going to be a good one. So much great information, so let's dive right in. So let's start with the Chicago Auto Show. Last year, well, a little earlier than this time, about a year ago, we announced that Jeep was not going to be at Chicago Auto Show. They are back. It's confirmed. They're on the map. Camp Jeep's going to be there. We're going to have Ram there. Dodge is going to be there. Fiat. So Stellantis is back at the auto show. If you've been following their feed, they've been at the Detroit show. They've been at some other shows, some great content, some good stuff coming out of there. I do have a note that there will be a press conference at the Chicago Auto Show for Jeep on Thursday morning. So we'll probably bring you live there. Follow our channel for that. If you are a Jeeps on the Run member or you're planning on coming to the Chicago Auto Show, you're definitely going to want to stay tuned because we're going to get you to the front of the line on Camp Jeep with a little tip there. So be following along as we get close to the auto show, and I've got confirmation that we can help with that. Glad to see them back on the horse. Chicago Auto Show had their 3 millionth ride, whatever it was, ridiculous. I don't remember off the top of my head. At their last auto show that was there, they do a really, really nice job. Gates open there and everyone runs to the back straight to Camp Jeep. Even if you've been on an off-road trail or you own a Jeep, I have many friends who are truly Jeep enthusiasts and really wheel their vehicles. Even they are impressed. So if you're like, hey, I've been off-road, go to the auto show, get on Camp Jeep, let them show you what that vehicle will do. It's impressive what they can do inside the McCormick Center on that track that they've got. So congratulations, I'm glad to see them back. That is great news. So let's talk about Stellantis in general. There's a lot here, there's a lot going on. So let's talk about some key highlights. Jeep pretty much admitted that they tried to get premium dollar for the Grand Wagoneer. Depending on what trim level you're looking at moving forward, there is an opportunity of saving up to $7,000 off MSRP. Like MSRP has been lowered almost $7,000 depending on what trim level you're looking at. So that's great news if you're looking for a Wagoneer, and now's the time to buy one. On top of that, there's probably other incentives depending on what month it is and what incentives are out there. But as always, check out our friends at Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram if you're looking for that Wagoneer. But the downside to this is if you lower MSRP by up to $7,000 and you already own a Grand Wagoneer, what do you think that does to your resale value? Well, it's going to crush it, because if the new prices came down this much, well, you got to, they can't pay the same amount for a used one, so the used ones are going to follow suit and they're going to fall down as well. So rumor is, and who knows if it's true, that rumor is Stellantis is going to come out with some sort of program that's going to assist on this negative equity. I'm sure they won't call it negative equity. They'll probably call it trade assistance or a loyalty program or something like that. Again, who knows if this will really happen. I suspect that across the line, if they do, they're going to certainly earn back some of their customers. I think that'd be a great idea to provide this type of assistance if you're going to lower the MSRP, which they need to. They need to reel this back in. We're going to talk more about that. You know, and I'm sure it'll be tied to financing if you finance through Chrysler Capital or whatever the case. Again, let's stay tuned on that. There's rumors flying around that there might be some trade assistance or loyalty assistance or whatever. So if that happens, we'll certainly let you know. So John Elkann met with President Trump. And regardless of what side of the political system you're on, whether you like them or not, there are changes coming. I think we're going to see the push to EVs is going to relax. I think we're going to see more drive to back to the gas engines, and not necessarily a good thing, bad thing. I don't know, but we're going to see a change. So what can we expect? Well, if you've been paying attention to Stellantis, you can already see they've talked about the Ram Charger truck. They talked about moving the EV Ram, and they put it behind the Ram Charger. Now there's rumors they've just tabled the Ram Charger altogether. The Ram Charger is the hybrid version of the Ram. We've been talking about putting the Hemi back in the Ram. They've talked about putting the Hemi back in a lot of things. There's a ton of rumors flying around about the Hemi motor, right? Let's bring back the V8. Stellantis has really been pushing change. We've got Tim Kuniskis back. You know, I thought for sure the day he was back in the seat, we'd see Hemi. I think he's setting the stage. I think he's trying to prep us. I think you're going to start seeing some more gas stuff come, but we still have a lot of EV stuff coming, and we got a lot of cool product that we're going to talk about here in this video as well that's coming. But I think as a whole, in the industry of the auto industry, I think we're going to see a relax on the EVs and the mandates for the EVs. I think it's good in a lot of ways. I think a lot of these manufacturers have been forced. We need EV, we need EV. You got to meet these federal mandates. You got to meet these EPA regulations. And I'm all about for the EPA stuff. I get it. But on the same token, these manufacturers are jamming out EV vehicles that I don't think are ready. Every manufacturer that's had an EV out has had some issues. I don't care if it's Jeep, Chevy, Ford. Pick one. They've all had hurdles with it. They've all done a great job, but they've been forced to get these things out. If we relax the mandate, buy your EV, but maybe it's not jammed on the consumer so hard, I think it's going to allow the manufacturers to refine these vehicles and get them out on their time frame, if you will. So I'm not against EV, but I do like the fact that I think it's going to relax a little bit and allow these things to get polished before they end up in the hands of the consumers. The EVs are out, so let's talk a little bit about what's coming, right? So we're gonna talk about the new vehicles that are rolling out, but dealers are seeing them already. They've been out a few weeks. You're seeing them on the streets. There's a few out there, but your dealerships have the Dodge Charger EV. Now, to be fair, it was always in the plan to give us a gas version of the Dodge Charger. Now, a rumor is that they're gonna speed up this process and get these gas versions out sooner than they had originally planned. I think it was supposed to be early 2026. We're gonna probably start seeing the gas chargers this year. The demand is there, whether it's the change, presidential change, whatever it is, they're gonna start speeding up that pipeline for the gas charger. The other thing, rumor is, I've heard rumors of bringing back the 300. I've heard rumors of bringing back a Grand Caravan. There's a lot of great stuff coming out there. So we're going to talk about what's coming for new vehicles here in a second. So let's talk about what's coming new vehicle-wise. We got the Grand Wagoneer S. It's going to be landing on lots any day. In fact, some dealers already have it. They've already got them. The Grand Wagoneer S, if you haven't seen pictures, we'll put one here. It is the fastest Jeep that has ever been produced. So back in 98, 99, I owned a 5.9 liter Grand Cherokee Limited, one of the 14,000 they've made. That vehicle still has a special spot in my heart. One of probably my favorite vehicles I've ever owned. Absolutely love that vehicle. Back in 98, it was the fastest SUV in the world. There's a whole commercial about it. Great marketing. Man, I just had to have one of those things. It was awesome. To this day, still one of my favorites. The 5.9 liter Grand Cherokee was definitely the kickoff for the introduction to the whole SRT and the SRT8 vehicles. That was like the entry level. That is what opened the doors for that line. Then fast forward, you had the SRT8 vehicle, the SRT8 Jeep, and then you had the Trackhawk, 707 horsepower, pure. If you ever drove one of those, it makes your stomach hurt. It was so fast, Top all of those, and you've got the Grand Wagoneer S, 600 horsepower, full electric, the fastest Jeep yet ever produced. Super excited to get my hands on one of these things and drive one. We'll do a review on it as soon as it's available. Our friends here at Racy DeJaro have one any day, but that is full electric, beautiful vehicle. Now this one does fall on the exact same platform as the new Chargers. So it's basically the same thing, different body. So just keep that in mind, but makes it kind of easy for that platform to translate into other vehicles on the lineup. So the Jeep Recon, we've been hearing about this one for a while. We've been teased about pictures. We've been teased about that things are supposed to be getting delivered. I think at this point, we're supposed to see them in 2026. This is basically going to be like the big brother to the Wrangler. The doors are going to come off. Full electric. This is what's going to set it apart. Independent front suspension. So it's definitely not Wrangler-esque if you're looking to the wheeling and all the upgrades. Not to say that you can't upgrade an IFS, but it's definitely going to give it a different ride. I'm sure it's going to give it a more refined ride because of IFS versus the solid axle. But 600 horsepower, it's not going to be a slouch. I'm kind of curious. I think it's going to be kind of almost reminds me of the Commander that was out previously. I think it's kind of a cool looking vehicle, and I think the fact that the doors come off and maybe it's not a Wrangler, maybe some of those people who don't like the ride of the Wrangler which, let's be realistic, people who say the Wrangler rides rough, they haven't been in a Wrangler since the YJ. Like, these Wranglers don't ride like they used to. They just don't. That Recon is definitely going to be a competitor to the Hummer EV, maybe a little smaller, obviously, but it's going to be in that same market, if you will. I think also the Scout Traveler, as well as the Rivian R1S. If you're looking at any of those, I think this vehicle is going to kind of fall into that same lineup of those vehicles. So keep that in mind. It is coming. It is full electric, but it's on its way, unless something changes, which there's a lot of stuff right now that's changing. So speaking of changes, let's talk about the Dodge Durango for a second. There's rumor that the all-new Durango is coming soon. I think we all can agree that is due for an update. That Durango was slated to be built in Canada, trying to move stuff back to the US. And I believe Stellantis is also trying to get a better hold on some of the parts that are produced for these vehicles and increase quality on them as well. Regardless of where they're made, I know that's a priority. But having said that, they are moving. The Durango is going to be now built in Detroit. And there are a few other plants that are going to get some upgrades, and some people are getting some jobs back. So we got some really good news. So Stellantis is reinvesting back into some of their plants. The plants that are going to start getting some retooling and some upgrading are going to be Ohio, Michigan, Illinois, and Indiana. And Illinois is a big one. We're going to talk about that in a second. So let's talk about Ram for a second. Kind of goofy, but let's talk about it. Ram, it may be bringing back a hood ornament. Do you remember when you were a kid and you'd play with the hood ornament? I always remember the Cadillac one, or my mom had a Buick Riviera with the big R on it, or maybe it was a Lincoln. You got the Lincoln logos. Hood emblems were such an iconic thing of the past. And it looks like Ram's potentially bringing one back. We'll share a picture of it here. Very bold, definitely a throwback of the vintage Ram. It's like a modern version of the vintage hood ornament. So kind of cool. What's your thoughts? Would you like to see hood ornaments come back? I think it's kind of cool. They're talking about putting them on like the limited or the high tricked out optioned Rams. We'll see if that actually happens. But speaking of Ram, how about bringing back the Dakota? The Dodge Dakota back in the day was a great truck. My buddy had one in high school. Remember, he always called it the Ram's little sister that he had, the baby Ram. But Ram has nothing in that segment. You've got the Colorado for Chevy, you've got the Ranger for Ford, and you've got the Tacoma, and I'm sure there's a few others that fit that segment, you know, for Toyota. But Ram doesn't have anything, and I think we're missing that segment. Guess you've got the Gladiator, but that's a Jeep vehicle. Ram's standpoint, I think they should bring back the Dakota. So rumor is that for 2027, the Dakota's coming back, and it's going to be built right here in our backyard for in the Belvedere plant. Now, if you rewind just a couple years, the Belvedere plant was mothballed, and they pushed out the last Cherokee out of there, and there was talk about actually building the EV charger out of there. That kind of fell apart. So now it sounds like it's been confirmed that the Ram Dakota, assuming that's what they call it, is going to be built right here in our backyard in Belvedere. Rumor is it's going to bring back 1,500 jobs, so I think that's awesome. I think it's great they're bringing that back. Here's my question. Will they bring back the Ram Dakota convertible? If you remember that one, that was awesome. I actually have a friend who owned one, and we did a trunk or treat event. We'll post a picture here. We've got a guy that joined us, and this thing was beautiful, all original Ram Dakota convertible. We'll share a picture there too, but that would be awesome. If you know what I'm talking about, let's bring that back too. So speaking of other vehicles that are coming back and maybe missed segments, so Jeep is talking about bringing back the Cherokee. You know, we don't really have anything in that size in the Jeep segment anymore. So it was eliminated in 2023. So it's talk about bringing back the Cherokee, which I think would be great. There's another vehicle called the Avenger, which isn't found here in the States, but it is found in other places. And it looks great. It'd be a great little ad. You know, we've got like the tracks, and we've got other vehicles that you can stack against. But the Avenger, the problem with the Avenger is it doesn't meet the guidelines and the requirements from a safety standpoint, to my understanding, for the United States. So in order to make this Avenger work here would take a lot of effort. Not that it's not going to happen, but certainly something that we can watch and see what happens, because I think it might make a great vehicle. There was talk of the Avenger, you know, coming in gas and electric. If it was a full electric vehicle and still be in that low to mid 20s, it still might be a home run. with the Cherokee coming back. So we got a lot of things coming back in that segment, and I think it'll be good because that size, along with the Ram size, we're missing things. We've got holes in the lineup for both those products. From a Chrysler standpoint, we haven't talked about Chrysler in a while. There is a concept car called the Halcyon. I was actually privy enough to be on a conference call with some of the reps from Chrysler a few years ago, and they walked through the whole ins and outs of this car. Super, super cool. I get it was concept, but as you drive down the roads, there's various GPS things. If it sees wildlife out on the road, it would pop up on like a heads-up display and tell you what it was. I mean, just kind of this crazy outreach concept stuff that you'd imagine. Concept car will be at Chicago Auto Show this year, but also rumor is that this Halcyon is coming to market. Now, like every concept car that comes to market, I'm sure it gets refined to make it make sense, right? But I'm not sure if I misread or if that's factual. So it'll be interesting to keep our finger on the pulse with Chrysler. And I've been reading grumblings about the 300 coming back. That would be interesting as well. I mean, the 300 was a great car. It definitely ran its course, and it definitely needed like a refresh. But I think that's something that if that car was refreshed, it could really light up Chrysler again. It was a well sought after vehicle. Having said that, sedans in general have kind of fallen off. I mean, the Malibu's fallen off. You've got a lot of these just sedans that have just kind of fallen off the map. Good, better, and different. I don't know if the market's just not there for it. But that 300 was a great car. There's no question about it. So we've talked about a lot here. We've got tons of upgrades coming to some plants in the States. A lot of new vehicles, some EVs, some gas. What is your stance? Were you excited about that EV or the Ram charger? Are you excited about the EV charger? Are you excited for the upgraded Durango, which still has a Hemi in it, by the way? They're still putting Hemis in that Durango. So for them to put a Hemi back in any of these other vehicles should be super easy because we're still making them as of today and we're still putting them in those Durangos. What are you excited for? Are you excited about this Grand Wagoneer S? Can we just talk about that for 1 second? Let's talk about the naming of this yet. People still are confused. They think the Wagoneer and Grand Wagoneer are different sizes. They think the Grand Wagoneer is big and the Wagoneer is small. And they have no idea what the Wagoneer L means. They have no idea what the Wagoneer S means. When this came out, Grand Wagoneer S was like the internal code name for the Jeep. And then they put something on social. They said, we're going to let all this social team, we're going to let everyone vote and submit names of what we should name this vehicle. They did all this work, tons of great names, and then guess what? They named it the Grand Wagoneer S, the same thing, the code name they've been calling it. Jeep, that was a horrible idea. People are so confused. If you're not living in this market, a Grand Wagoneer is not bigger than a Wagoneer. It just has more bells and whistles. The Grand Wagoneer L is the big one for long. So people have no idea what the Grand Wagoneer S is. They don't know it's full electric. I think we really bucked our teeth on naming this, and there were a lot of really clever names and ones that would probably really stuck. You asked your people what you wanted to name it, and you completely ignored us. My opinion, I think it's a great vehicle, great looking vehicle, but why we named this thing the Wagoneer S, I keep saying Grand Wagoneer S, even I'm screwing it up. Why we named this the Wagoneer S is still beyond me. Sorry, I disagree with it. I know I'm not alone. So, all right, I'm off my soapbox. A lot of great stuff coming. I appreciate you guys watching through. Give us a like, give us a subscribe. Let us know what you want to see in the next video. We'll keep you guys informed with great Jeep news. And if you own that 4xe, remember, those recalls are out. They're all done. Most of that's kind of water under the bridge at this point. So if you're here as a 4xe owner, get that recall done. Don't delay. And we'll see you guys on our next video.